Hello， 大家，这是一个雅思口语考试的经验分享视频。我上周考了一次雅思嘛，然后分数我之前在 B 站动态也跟大家分享了。那今天呢，就收到了这个 report card， 成绩就如图所示。写作确实是因为没有写完，所以这个分数我也是很能理解的。虽然内心还是觉得有点太可惜，很遗憾，但是没有办法，确实是我自己的时间管理问题不好。其他的分数就很满意。那这个视频呢，我主要是想分享一下我这一次考试当中，在准备口语的这份考试的时候，做了一些我自我感觉非常有效，而且真的能帮助我拿到更加好的分数的一些方法。举个例子，我们知道雅思口语有3个部分嘛，其实每个部分它都有自己的侧重点的。就是你想，要不然它干嘛要设3个部分呢？闲没事干嘛，对吧？像是 Part 1， 它考你的能力呢是 making small talks， 就是它有很多的话题，很多不同的 topics， 你在每一个 topic 都应该有相对应的一些相关的词汇来去谈论这个话题，并且我们不需要说很多的。很多同学一上来特别激动啊，说很大篇幅的东西。没有用的，它不是在考你这个。你要是有这个精力，不妨留在 Part 3去深层次的分析问题。在 Part 1你说太多，反而让考官觉得很奇怪，他很想 move on， 然后你还是没叭说，而且还可能会说错，所以适得其反。第二个呢，在内容方面，我并没有说去花很多时间去思考这个话题我要讲什么，因为一来我是对我自己的自然语言有信心的，因为我是能做老师的嘛，很多话题我就一上来就可以说了。二来呢，我也是想刻意避免不要去对这些话题做过度充分的准备，因为你准备过始终一定是比你的自然语言要好的，所以你在考试当中很难免你会想去回忆你所准备的东西，但是你一开始回忆这个动作其实会被考官发现的。那这个就会是一个比较严重的扣分项目了，所以我就刻意避免了回忆或者是准备这个动作。但是这是我自己的情况哈，如果是一般同学们，你们觉得自己的自然语言不足以去支撑你讲一个完全陌生的话题呢，那还是要比较按部就班的大致上去思考一下有什么素材可以讲。这个素材选取也是有窍门的，你要么是选取100%真实的事件，要么如果你实在是没有这个经历，你想想你朋友的经历，你想想电影当中角色的经历，或者你根据你类似的经历进行一些改编。好处就是当你在考试的时候非常紧张，你在想词儿的时候，你起码有一些画面感，有一些依据给你去改编，给你去编造，这样子比较容易去继续说下去。如果是完全凭空而来的经验的话，很难在考场当中继续说完。第3个呢，我是刻意去注意了我的发音，因为前2次我口语考试都是8.5分，我就在想这是为什么。想来想去，我想可能还是因为整一个的发音不是说特别的准确，不是 100% accurate。包括我在 B 站发了一些视频，有些粉丝有些朋友们在下面就说，哎呀，你的发音很难听啊，中式英语啊。所以我想好，那我去改一下。我就在去年和今年5月份分别找了2个英国老师来去专门挑我的语音的毛病。他们指出的问题呢，主要是在第一个短长音可能有些地方没有做好，第2个呢是部分的辅音但是总体问题不大的。所以这次考试呢，包括前一期准备，我有刻意去纠正我那些可能出现问题的一些发音，我觉得这个还是有一些帮助的。虽然雅思口语考试它不是在考你的 accent， 有 accent 完全不是问题，但是如果你能尽可能的把他们眼中认为一些 non-native speaker 当中可能会说错的音给读对了，那他们会觉得这个还蛮不错，这个考生就会有些惊喜的感觉。所以这个大家也是可以去注意一下。如果你知道自己有些发音问题是长期存在的，是一些 fossilized 的一些 mistakes， 也可以尝试去刻意改正一下。 我做的第4项准备工作呢，就是在网上 sign up 了一个 mock exam， 然后也是一个英国老师，他跟我 go through 了整一个的考试的这个过程，给我的反馈，那个对我帮助也特别大。因为我的诉求呢，就是说我怎么样可以做得再好一点点，再提高一点点，这样子拿一个更加好的分数嘛。他的反馈呢就非常有针对性，因为就是完全 based on my own performance 的。虽然它的点呢就是比较小，可是就是那一点点的 inspiration 已经对我来讲是非常受用了，并且呢，整一个的考试过程它是有录制下来的，所以我可以反复去看看我当时的一些临场反应发挥哪些地方做的不够好的。因为我后来再看的时候，我发现其实很多地方，如果你让我放松的来说，我可以想到很好的词，很多的一些很 valid 的内容。可是考试毕竟还是有一个紧张的因素存在，或多或少哈，所以有些发挥确实不是这么好。那我就可以提醒我自己了啊，这个地方我下次可以怎么样去注意一下。那关于我的这一次的模拟考呢，我放在了下一个片段，大家如果有兴趣的话，也可以去围观一下下。但是请不要介意啊，因为确实不是best performance。其实我觉得模拟考真的是很重要，所以在我的雅思口语课程当中，我也有提供模拟考给大家，就是为了让大家更加好的去适应当时考试那种心理状态以及考试的感觉吧。我觉得还是非常受用的。最后呢，请容许我用老师的角度来分享一下，我觉得口语考试当中几个非常重要的注意事项。第一个呢，就是要去再三了解考试评分标准，你一定要很清楚的知道它到底在考你什么。这个我强调过太多次了，我觉得真的是太重要了，每个学生都要去了解。如果你看不懂考试评分标准的话，你找个老师去帮你解读一下。第二点就是关于词汇的运用，很多学生以为要用难词、用大词才能拿到好的分数，不是这样子的，宝宝们，不要以为你要用难词，什么 GRE、SAT 词汇，它不是这个玩法。你用大词反而适得其反，因为雅思口语考你的是一个比较 informal 的一个语句 register， 不是那种 formal 的 written words， 所以千万不要搞错了。第三个，语法方面，我要非常强调一下时态的用法。当然了，考试评分标准当中没有讲时态，但是时态永远都是口语考试当中一个核心的部分，大家要注意一下你的时态用法。最好，如果你是想上7.5分或8分的话，你要展示出你有运用不同时态的能力。除了简单的过去、现在、未来之外呢，现在完成、过去完成等等的都要灵活运用。但如果你是想说我要拿个6.5或7分的话，那你起码得分清楚过去、现在，起码的时态一定要注意一下。最后一点就是不要写稿，不要背模板，哪怕那个模板背说的再好，那个语言可能也不是你的。就算你这道题背得很熟了，你下题依然是会露馅的。而且记住，背诵在雅思考试当中永远都是一个很严重的扣分项。每一个人都有自己的 comfort language， 比如说我自己的 comfort language， 通过我做视频啊，我观察自己，我发现我是很喜欢用这个 especially 和 in fact 来引出我下一句要补充说的话语。所以大家在平常练习的时候呢，不妨去想想你怎么样通过你的这种 comfort language 来去帮助你，当你在说不下去话的时候，它怎么样可以帮你去过渡到你的思考，并且再承接下去。你要去多去真的是有意识的去思考这个问题的话，你的口语会变得更加流利，而不是一味的去背模板。那最后呢，关于我这次考试我被问到的真题以及我的回顾的答案，我都在上周日的直播当中分享给大家啦，对吧？文字稿和当时我们那个免费直播的讲解都在我的公众号丸子 Tina 的英语频道当中可以找到。另外呢，大家如果想看我的模拟考的表现的话呢，可以看下一章节，老师的反馈我放在了另外一个章节，大家都可以顺着顺序去看下去。好啦，那就是这个视频我想说的全部啦，希望各位的考生们都能考出非常好的成绩，我们就下个视频再见喽，拜拜。我的口语模拟考试很快就要开始了 ，should be in 1 minute。然后因为我3天后考雅思嘛，所以就今天安排了一个 mock speaking exam， 看看老师有什么反馈。这个老师还蛮好的，就是给我那个雅思写作的反馈的老师，同一个，他很负责，就不像其他老师那个一到时间他就下课，这个老师他就宁愿花多点时间把东西讲清楚，他才下课，所以就还蛮不错的。
Being recorded.
Well, it's interesting we get it double. All right, so in this first part, Tina, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. And what are your future plans for work?
I'm thinking about expanding my online teaching business and to make it more full-fledged because currently it's only me and my assistant who are actually working on the project. But in the future, I hope I can expand my business and recruit more people.
Let's move on. Let's talk about perfume. Do you like perfume?
Yes, I do. I wear perfume every day. It's part of my outfit because I feel that perfume gives me a different mood, a different kind of vibe every day. So I try to match my perfume with my outfit.
Yeah. Do you give perfume as a gift?
Yes, but only to those who are very intimate to me, like my boyfriend or my close friend, because it's a very personal thing, right? You don't want to send the wrong signal to others.
Right, exactly. Let's move on. Let's talk about the countryside. Do you ever visit the countryside in Hong Kong?
Yes, although Hong Kong is a highly urbanized city, there are places in the countryside that are really attractive. Like there's this area called Tai Po in the north of Hong Kong. I always go there on a weekend with my boyfriend, and it's a very nice place to relax and unwind.
And what do people like to do? Other things that people like to do in the countryside in Hong Kong?
They will always go hiking in the countryside because Hong Kong is a mountainous city. Although people, when they think of Hong Kong, they think of the skyscrapers, but Hong Kong is covered by mountains for 80% of its whole territory. So Hong Kong has lots of nice hiking spots and people like to go hiking in the countryside.
Now, Tina, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. And before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make notes if you wish. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So can you see this task card on your screen okay?
Yes.
I'd like you to describe a place where you like to go and read, which is not your house. All right. So, Tina, remember you have 1 to 2 minutes for this. So don't worry if I stop you, and I'll tell you when your time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
All right. So the place I like to go and read is a cafe located in Central in Hong Kong. It is called Fine Print. It's also one of my favorite restaurants. So I go there perhaps once a week on the weekend because it has become like a ritual for me to go there every week to enjoy their brunch and coffee. I like to go there because it gives me a very nice place where I can read without the interruption of other people, because people who go there often, they also want to enjoy their life, right? They want to enjoy their coffee or they want to enjoy chatting with friends. And there are no people urging you to leave the place, unlike in some cafes in Hong Kong. If you sit there without doing anything, people will just be staring at you and then urging you to go. At Fine Print, I don't feel the urge to leave the spot. And my favorite table there is a high table. It has a window view. So as I read, I can look out of the window and see people walking past. And sometimes I'll have some special encounters, like when people see what I'm reading, they will come to me and gently initiate a conversation over the book I read. And I've also made some friends because of that. I find places like Fine Print quite rare in Hong Kong because Hong Kong is a very fast-paced city, and a lot of times you have to rush doing your things. So for a nice cafe like Fine Print, where you can really just sit there, spend a very nice afternoon on Sunday reading a book, that's really rare. So for other people, they also enjoy the cafe, but like I said, they don't really push you when they see that you're not eating your food or you're not drinking your coffee. Instead, they respect you in a way that makes me feel quite comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So we've been talking about a cafe where you like to go and read, and I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. So let's talk about reading and children. What do you think is the best age for children to start to read?
I think children should start to read as soon as they start to develop a consciousness or awareness about words and pictures because initially parents can guide children in their reading. Like parents can read aloud the stories to children, act, and try to develop an interest in children in reading. And later, when children recognize more words, they can start to read by themselves because reading really cultivates the mind. If we don't read, we don't get new information. So I would say as soon as possible.
So, as you talked about parents encouraging children to read by doing things, tell me more about how parents can encourage their children to read more.
I think it's important that parents develop or try to cultivate an intrinsic motivation in children to read. In Hong Kong, parents are very aggressive because they all want to send children to the best schools, right? So they will force their children to read by giving them some like rewards, like, oh, if you read this book, then I'll buy you this toy. But I don't think that's a very sustainable practice. I think parents perhaps can read with children and enjoy the stories together. Like when children see parents are devoted to reading as well, perhaps they can develop a better interest in reading too.
Let's talk now about reading and the internet. How do you think the internet has affected what we read?
I think the impact is both positive and negative. On the positive side, the internet has made us or has helped us to read more. Like we can get information from different websites, different sources, and we also get information very fast compared with like before when we could only get information from the TV or the newspaper and that will be delayed. But now we get the first-hand information or information almost instantly as something happens. But for the negative side, I would say the internet has also offered us some fragmented information or misinformation or even disinformation. So when we read things on the internet, we have to be extra careful to distinguish the kind of correct information from the wrong one.
How can we be extra careful? What do we do?
I think it's important to double check the source or to read different things, right? To read different versions of the news. Sometimes one news outlet may be biased. Could be because of their political background or could be because of other things. So it's important to double check the information that you get and don't spread information the first time you get it. You have to double check before you spread it to others.
Now, let's talk about reading and authors' books. What do you think makes an author a bestseller?
Well, there are many different factors. Okay, first I can think of is perhaps the content. The content. Maybe the author is talking about something that has aroused some like people's collective reaction. Like if they're talking about something that everyone is paying attention to these days, then people would like to read the book. Or it could be because of the approach that the author used to address the issue. Like some author is good at analyzing a very difficult idea or difficult construct in a very approachable or interactive way. In that way, it will attract more readers.
Can you think of an example of an author who does this, who's able to do what you just talked about?
Okay, yeah. A few months ago, or like a year ago, I think, because COVID has really made me confused about time. I read a book called, it's a self-help book. Wait, let me think about the name. But it's something about how to manage your time. Time management is a very broad issue, right? But the author is able to really tackle this issue and to divide it into different sections. I think it's about how to change your habit. Yeah, how to make use of time and change your habit. So the author is analyzing everything very clearly, using a lot of psychological skills in persuading us or in helping us to reflect upon our current time management practice. So after reading the book, I really had more clarity on how I am currently using my time and how what changes I can make to my current routines.
Thank you. Now, looking into the future, do you think that books and libraries will disappear?
If we are talking about physical books and libraries, I would say I hope they won't appear altogether, but I would say they would definitely decrease in number because, to be honest, a lot of people now read ebooks, right? They also have like e-library. So people may think that there is no need to keep a physical building as a library anymore because they will say, oh, I can build a residential like building there, or I can develop a shopping mall there, right? Construct a shopping mall there. So maybe they will decrease in number, but I think they will still be kept in some places, like for like universities, maybe, right? It's hard to imagine that, you know, when you go to Oxford, you can't find a library there. So yeah, I think for some libraries, especially those with special meanings, they will be kept. But for public libraries, they would definitely decrease in number.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tina. That's the end of your speaking test. Now, look, I mean, I'm just thinking, okay, you will have no problem at all getting a very good score. And no, I guess you probably know that. But just to compliment you on your range of vocabulary, okay, which is great. And by and large, all used accurately. I mean, I say by and large, I don't really have any examples to say that it wasn't. But, you know, I mean, little, very, very small things like you use the word urging twice and then urge, all right? So obviously, you know, if you want to be really picky, you could say, well, you could have said encourage or something like that. But those, they just kind of are insignificant comments, really, because, you know, you've got... You seem to have an instant access to the words that you need to talk about what it is you want to say. So, well done on that. Very, very good indeed. I won't go through a list of all the ones, but you know, little things like to chunk and fragmented information and those kind of things. Very nice. And I think one of the things that I would like to compliment you on, and of course encourage you to continue doing it, and that is the way in which you structure your responses, the way in which you frame what you're going to say. You know, for example, you know, there are positives and negatives to this. There are many different factors, which is great. And of course, as you know, it's a great strategy to give you a little bit of time to organize what it is you're then going to say. All right. But I don't know that you need that time, but it's good for the listener because the listener is then prepared. Oh, okay. And you know what it's like when you're listening to somebody else, there's a processing going on. You're having to work, you know, to understand what they've just said. So that also gives the listener time just to recover from whatever it is you've just said, finish understanding that perhaps, and then be ready for the next bit. That was great. It gives me, so, just trying to read my writing. There was one thing you said. You said some author is. So,
really?
yeah, you can't really say some author. If you want to say, you know, there are, but it would be more logical to say some authors are.
Right.
I mean, it was an outlier in the sense that it didn't happen very often.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention when I said that. Yeah.
Well, maybe, but look, I mean, you see, what's interesting is that if you look at the actual examiner's rubric, the band descriptors they use, that you can make mistakes, but it's called mistakes that are typical of native speakers, because native speakers make mistakes, right? Of course they do.
Yeah.
So that would come under that. So look, I would be over the moon. Very happy if you got a 9, because I don't think I can't see any reason why you wouldn't. The issue here, of course, is that there's dare I say it, an unrecognized bias against those people who are not native speakers, whatever we mean by native speaker, of course. And I guess so. Look, you'll get whatever it is you need, because nobody needs more than an 8 in speaking, and you should easily get an 8 there, because I mean I would have no idea where you came from if I didn't know where you came from. all right, from your speaking and your accent. You have managed to lose your. You are originally a Cantonese speaker, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've managed to lose that. Now, I'd love to understand why it is and how you've managed, because it's fairly rare. Because the rhythm, for example, of Cantonese is so different from the rhythm of English, right? So, but you've managed to lose that. Or lose is perhaps not the right way. You've managed to completely move from being a Cantonese speaker to being an English speaker, which is great. And this is great for your students. They're very, very lucky to have you as a teacher, at least in terms of being a model of language. Because working here in Vietnam, it's unless you have a good model from an early age, then so many of those bad habits become embedded, right? And they're very difficult to change once you've got them. Okay. Good.
Right.